while, bro.
It's been a long while, yeah.
It's been a long while, man. We gotta, man, bro, I've been thinking like doing a video with you for a long time, and I just felt like you had a really cool story and testimony, and so I would love for you to, maybe you can share who you are and what you do and a little bit of your life, and then go for it.
Definitely, you know. I mean, it's been a while. I mean, the last time we got together, Tahoe Joe's was still open and slow, right?
yeah.
And now, I don't know what it is there, but yeah, and then we had you come and minister to the youth, and that was one of my favorite testimonies that year. It was powerful.
Yeah.
With a lot of good speakers that year, you know. Yours brought me to tears.
Yeah, awesome, bro.
But yeah, I mean, definitely love to share a little bit about my story. So I come from a city, little town called Selma.
Okay.
And Selma's only known for like one thing, sun-made raisins. And if you like raisins, you love Selma, right? I don't like raisins, so.
Nah.
But no, I claim the entire valley. Born in Bakersfield, raised in Fresno and Selma. So I claim the entire valley, but most of my journey is in Selma. Like my journey to God was in Selma. I grew up in church. My mom was a prayer warrior. My grandma's a prayer warrior. My grandma, you know, she kind of reminds me of like Jesus, and sort of say like she's got the same like skin tone, you know, the little mullet hair that Jesus kind of had that we see on the photos.
Totally.
And she's got 12 prayer warriors, you know, she's walking around like Jesus got her 12, right? But no, I had a praying family. God wasn't really my thing. I had to go to church because my parents forced me to, but also I just liked the people at the church, you know. I'd known them since I was little. We all grew up together, so we're all really good friends. But Jesus was never part of my plan. So, kind of fast forward a little bit, getting to high school, just, you know, like most people do, you get to high school and your hormones start going, you start noticing, you know, women, and my whole goal was like, I'm just gonna party in life, like I'm just gonna do whatever I want, you know. My dad, you know, always had get-togethers, barbecues at the house. I was like, you know, I could do something similar like that, you know. So my whole goal in life was to become a correctional officer, just to make some money and party. Nowhere in there was God. Not one bit in my plan. Not going to church, not even putting my kids through church or anything like that. It was all me focused. So I learned how to play the guitar and bass in high school, and so I did play in the youth band because, you know, my mom made me attend. So I would go to youth, play bass. Once I was done, I would go next door and hang out with the girl next door and hang out with her friends or hang out outside of church, like anywhere but inside the sanctuary getting the Word of God, right? And man, God was always just a joke to me. Like my mom would throw Jesus in my face, you know, a little too much, I would say, like, but it was a good thing because that was the only word I was being fed, was her throwing it at me. You hurt your knee, you know, oh, Jesus can heal you. He's like, nah, I'm good. Let me rest for a couple days, it'll be fine, type of thing, you know. But right after high school is when it got interesting. I started partying a lot. My parents bought a house down the road, and so they were gone all the time on the weekends. So me and my friends would have parties at the house, pool parties, spa parties, living our best life at the time, so to speak. Yeah, just disaster after disaster. And I remember just always going to church every Sunday, and they during the summer times we would do these like ministry tours, and I always had to go where they would do human videos, and I would have to go to play bass because I was a bass player, and God would touch me during that time. Like I would just get this touch from the Lord, like I wanted something more every single summer, but then school started back up, I'd fall back into my same ways, right? No foundation. And I just remember like after high school, the summertime came, it was summertime came, we're partying a lot. And all of a sudden, we had this really wild party at my house. Wild party. Like my cousins are drunk, they're fighting, they're trying to fist fight, they're breaking bottles, like a disaster is going. And all of a sudden, my little cousin comes to the party and she's like 13, 14. I'm like, what are you doing here? And she's like, oh, one of the cousins invited me. I was like, this is for big folks. Big folks. I'm 18 years old.
Older,
And then all of a sudden this girl comes walking by and she just falls, smacks her head on the cement, and she's out cold. I've never seen someone pass out before.
Yeah.
And I freaked out because even though I wasn't living the right way, I didn't want anybody to do anything to her. So I picked her up, threw her on my shoulder, threw her in my room, and I locked the door behind me and closed it so no one can enter that room. Just left her in that room until she could sleep it off. And I started looking around when I walked back out to the backyard and just seeing disaster. And it hit me like, do I really want to do this?
Oh, wow.
Do I want to live this life?
Yeah.
This isn't as fun as I thought it was.
Yeah.
Right now, there's a 13-year-old girl passed out in my house. I'm 18. This is not looking very well.
Wow.
And I found out who she was, like whose sister she was.
Oh, okay.
So I told my friends, I don't care what this looks like, how bad it looks. Throw her in your car, drop her off on her doorstep, and leave. And he said, all right. So we did. We picked her up. We're walking out. My aunt drives up trying to find her drunk son. She sees us with this young girl, throwing her in the back of a car, back of a little Honda Civic, you know. And she's like, what is happening? And just, it was disastrous. And after that, I kind of just said, like, there's got to be more to life than doing this, because I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And so at that point, you think, all right, there's your turning point in life, right? No, it wasn't. A couple weeks later, this was back when you can make CDs. You remember burning CDs because we didn't have, our phones were Nokias, you know, you could hit someone with it and it doesn't break. You know? So I was going to my friend's house. I was going to go to church, but I decided, you know what, screw it, I'm not going to church. So night service is like, I'm not doing that. So instead of turning right to church, I turned left to go to his house. So on the way to his house, it's a country road, you know, just like taking a back way. You know, you got two roads, one lane each side.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for his grandparents to get out. They live on this dirt country road, one car in, one car out, and I can see them coming out. So I was just stopped there waiting for them. Just so once they pull out, I'm going to make my left turn, right? Yeah. And when I'm doing that, it's the weirdest thing because all I see is them do this, and I wake up. And when I wake up, it's like, you know when your alarm goes off in the morning or something startles you in the morning, you're just like, oh man, like, what's that? Like, oh man, like I felt like I was just woken up from a dream. Like, I was like, what the heck? And I see the fire department there saying, don't move, don't move. And I'm like, what? Like, what's going on? Like, don't move. And like, I'm laying in my car. Like, I'm literally laying in my car. I'm like, what's happening? Like, what? And he's all, don't move. And they're using like the little pry jaw. I don't know what it's called. Someone said jaws of life, but the jaws of life cut. But this thing was actually because my door wouldn't open. So it pulled my door off. And they got me out of the car. And I noticed when I was laying there, I looked like this because I'm upside down. My speaker box was facing my head. So it pushed, I got rear-ended at 50 miles an hour without braking.
Oh my God.
I was at a dead stop, waiting to make a left turn. The guy said it's my fault. I was looking at the grape fields and I plowed into his car. He thought I was still going and he hit me at 50 miles an hour. So hard, he crushed my car. The speaker box broke the back seats, went through it, and was facing my head. It snapped the 4 bolts that hold your seat in place. So that's why my seat was back. Like it snapped, like that car just destroyed, right? And all of a sudden it hit me, I was like, wait, this is real. I'm in an accident. And like they get me out of the car and I look over, I see my parents bawling. I see my friend's grandparents bawling because they witnessed the whole thing. Like they didn't know what to do, And all of a sudden, like this reality sinking in, like what the heck? Blink of an eye, you could lose your life. And during that whole time, my friend, he's a brother to me. His name's also Michael. And he said, I was asleep on the couch, just crashed out waiting for you to come. He's all, my grandpa ran on the dirt road, so it's like almost a quarter mile. He was an old man and he ran. He didn't get back in the car. He ran and started screaming and yelling, waking up saying that I was in an accident. And so he got on the phone and called my mom. And my mom's Mexican, you know, so you tell my mom your son's in an accident, she drops the phone, it's like, super emotional. You know? And so the whole time I'm just standing there, like and they're like trying to talk to me, like, how you feeling, how you feeling? And I guess I was a little delusional, and I was just telling me like, well, let's go to the hospital. My friend works there. He can make me an egg sandwich. And I'm like, what? The things they tell me after the fact, right? I guess I just kept saying it. My friend Rocky will make me an egg sandwich.
Yeah.
Everything will be okay. But in my head, I was like all jacked up.
Yeah.
So during that point, like I was delusional, kind of just still trying to figure out what the heck happened. This lady stops me as they're getting ready to put me in the ambulance, and she goes, I'm a nurse. I live across the street. I witnessed the whole thing, and you should be dead. And when she said that, I was like kind of delusional. It caught my focus right there. She's like, you should have been dead. She's like, I saw your car get hit, you fly up, hit the top of your car, and they just assumed I was dead. And this is the reason why they assumed it. Hi. They assumed it for this reason. Where my parents live is about a 4-mile drive from the accident. So at that point, I got hit. I was out cold from the point of the accident to the point where his grandfather ran down the dirt road, woke up Mike, he called my mom, they drove all the way down. The fire department, everybody gets there. I'm still out that entire time. So obviously, a mother, a parent, grandparent, not the best case scenario you want to see is your son in a car and the fire department's working on it, like not sure what's happening. So scary moment. And when that lady said that, you should have been dead, that was like the awakening point. All of a sudden my senses came back. Boom, focused. And we get in the ambulance, take me to Selma, to the ER, the hospital there. And I was just laying there, and my dad comes in there, and he's like, you okay? I'm like, yeah. I said, this sucks, man. And he's like, yeah, you keep saying it. I'm like, what? He's like, you keep saying this sucks. He's like, I think you got a concussion. He's like, I know, I've had a few in my life. I was like, ah. I was like, well, this sucks. And he's like, yeah. I was like, man, he's like, I want to go check on mom because she's a little emotional. I was like, all right, cool. And so when he leaves, it's just me strapped to this stretcher. And I told God, I was like, dude, why did you save me? Because I'm the guy who cares the least about you. I make a mockery of your name. I literally go into church and go and hang out with the people next door. I literally go to church and walk right out of the building. I said, why did you save me? And he said, clear as day. First time I ever heard God's voice in my life. And he said, because I love you. That was the turning point in my life right there. While we were still sinners, he died for us, right?
Yeah.
We love him because he first loved us. That was my first love me moment because God was never in my plan. So after that moment, it was about a week later, I got a phone call to do that ministry tour thing again. Play bass. We have a really big team. We're gonna hook you up with the Arizona team. It's this youth group from Arizona. Like, it's like cool. And the guy you're going to meet, who's gonna be in charge of like your devotions and stuff, like church in Salinas. It's like, all right, cool. And I met the guy. His name was Anthony. And it's like, this guy's pretty cool. Like, I like him. Like, there's something different about him. And before we started the ministry tour, the night of the accident, I was laying in my bed just because I couldn't go to sleep for 24 hours. They wanted to watch me. So all my friends went to go grab snacks and stuff, and I'm just sitting in my bed, laying there with my back against the wall. And I was like, you know, I want to live for you, but I don't know how. Look at my lifestyle. Look at my friends' lifestyle. They all go to church, but they don't live for you. They're hot one minute, they're cold the next minute. I don't want to live like that the rest of my life. I want unshakable faith. That was the only prayer I said that day. Met that guy Anthony, coolest guy I've ever met. To this day, still my mentor. And I was like, dude, this guy is so cool. The way he walks, the way he talks, he's different. I was like, there's something different about this guy. And it's Christ shining through him so boldly, so brightly. Like, he had so much joy, peace, and love in him. My spirit was like instantly grasped to him. I was like, dude, okay, this is the kind of people I need to link up with if I want unshakable faith. And so we did. We did that 10-day tour, and like, I was like a magnet, man. Just like always there with him, talking, and became my brother like instantly. And at the end of the tour, even telling him like everything that just happened in my life, he goes, I think you should go to this Bible school in Oklahoma that I went to. I was like, no. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. He's like, yeah. He's like, you should pray about it. I was like, no. I said, honestly, I don't feel like that. You know, I really think I'm going to pursue this corrections thing.
Yeah.
He's you're a man who wants change, but is not going to do anything about it. You're going to go about it the same way. He's you won't get anywhere. He says, pray about it. Basically, be a man, pray about it. So I did. So after the tour was over, I just leaned on my bed. That was like my spot, right? And I was like, I didn't even know what to say because at the point, like, I wasn't happy. Like, I knew this wasn't going to happen. So all of a sudden, I was like, leaning against my bed. I said, you know, Lord, what do you want me to do? Like, do you want me to go to this school? I doubt it, but do you? And all of a sudden, I felt inside me, yes. And I was like, I was so mad too. And I was like, called him up. Hey, how do I apply for this school? And instantly, you hear him drop the phone, and he's like laughing hard. I'm like, what the heck, bro? And he's all, that's laughs, bro. He's all, the day I saw you, I knew you were called for something higher. I was like, dang, dude, you saw that in me? A guy who still trying to figure and pick up the pieces of something that happened a week or two ago, you know, like, and he's like, yeah. He's like, you're called to something higher. And so he gave me all the information on it. And part of the agreement with the Bible school is your pastor has to sign off. I was like, that's easy. My pastor, I love my dude. I've been there since I was a baby, you know? And so I did. He lived across the street from the church, walked over, handed him this application. I said, I'm thinking of applying for Rhema, and I need a pastor's recommendation, you know. He's like, yeah, not a problem. And then he goes back, and his wife comes out, and she starts crying. I was like, kind of weird. Yeah, and she's like, you're not coming back. I said, no, I think it's a 2-year school, I think. I said, I'll be back. She's like, no, this is the start of ministry for you. You're not coming back. And I was like, okay, in my head, I was like, I'm still coming back. Selma's my spot, man. Instantly, it was a Friday morning. I put my application in the mail. Monday morning, I had an acceptance letter.
Come on.
And I was tripping out. I was like, whoa, I'm accepted. And here's the crazy part about it. I didn't find out till I moved out to Oklahoma. It takes 4 days regular mail from Selma to Tulsa, Oklahoma for a letter to get there.
Yeah.
And then 4 days back.
Yeah.
Mail doesn't run on Sundays back in those days. So I sent it off Friday. Saturday means it got to Tulsa, Oklahoma. The staff and the pastor reviewed it, signed it, and sent it back to me. 4 days. All in a 4 days time. Like, impossible, right? If that's not God calling you to something else higher,
I know.
yeah.
It's like God finding it.
And I was excited, so I called him up, like, what do I need to do, dude? And I got everything arranged, packed up my guitar and a bag of clothes, and flew to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I had a friend there named Baltimore, and he goes, you want to go check out the church? I was like, yeah. He's like, it's a huge church, like 8,000 members. I was like, what? I was like, what? I thought Selma's church was big with 200, you know? We get there, and as soon as you drive up, it's like this big old stadium-looking thing with a shield of faith on it, and it spins, never stops. And the very first message I heard there was from Kenneth Hagin. He said, he was talking about faith, and he said, you know what faith is? He's only put it in a practical way. Faith is you're believing for a house, so you start packing up now, knowing that you're going to get that house, that it's coming. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, and then he started talking about moving mountains. Having unshakable faith.
Wow.
So the prayer of this troubled, weird little kid from Selma, California, one prayer, I want unshakable faith. Teach me how not to fall and stumble the rest of my life where I'm wishy-washy.
Come on, man.
And he sent me to a school of faith
Yeah.
in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Changed my life forever. Never looked back since the day.
Man.
Gave me a foundation. And now I help kids that were in my boat make that same decision. Yeah.
Wow. So keep going, man. I know there's more. What happened after Bible college, kind of
Yeah.
what did the Lord start doing?
So once school was over, I was there for 3 years, and my pastor was right.
Uh-huh.
I didn't
You're
go
not
home.
coming back.
I got a call. My parents officially decided to leave Selma, moved to the house here in town, and I was thinking, like, should I go back with them? Should I go back to Selma? What am I going to do? So I came home for one of the summers, and I met a pastor by the name of Mark Hicks,
Okay.
and he was at a church in San Luis Obispo.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went there because my parents knew him,
Mm-hmm.
kind of helped him out with worship, you know,
Oh,
did
okay.
some music
Okay.
with him,
Yeah.
and kind of started establishing something here.
Mm-hmm.
After I was coming home, I got a call from him saying, I'm no longer at that church, I'm in Morro Bay.
Oh.
Now, I know you're graduating, and I just want to see if this is something you're interested in, but I have a youth pastor position available. He said, it's a small church, but in this season, like, I'm trying to find someone. It just depends on what kind of person you want to be and what kind of ministry you want to run.
Yeah.
I'm looking for someone who can run it from the ground up. Right now, we have no kids. And I told him, you know what, let me pray on it, and I'll get back to you. And I did. I prayed on it, and I went to my instructors there who were in charge of the youth ministry and talked to them. And they said, well, how many other offers do you have on the table? I said, 0. And he's all, sounds like God's opening a door.
Wow.
And so instantly, yeah, came home, moved to this area, and started youth ministry in 2006, 2007. And the things I've seen God do, beyond anything I could ever think of. Seeing kids healed, seeing families separated and restored, kids who seem impossible that will never come to Christ, come to Christ. I've seen kids see Jesus, hear from Jesus, start their own ministry.
Wow.
My very first set of youth kids still serve Jesus to this day faithfully.
Come on.
One thing they taught us in Bible school is youth ministry is tough because you're in there for their lives for a short amount of time and you never get to see the result.
Yeah.
There's a few kids, my OG students, still serving Christ. And we did. We started with 0 and we grew it to 4 to 12 in this church of like 14 to 16 people. It wasn't a lot of people there. And we grew it. And then went to another church a few years later. Built that, helped with theirs. Then came to the 5-city area, and we had 4 kids, and these 4 kids were special to me. I challenged them. I said, living Christ should be evident in your life by the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you think. I can tell with you 4, Christ is not evident in your life. You do not have Christ in your life by the way you act, the way you talk, the way you think. And you know, that's very offensive to say, right?
Yeah.
But the Holy Spirit was telling me to tell them that because once I said that, that became a challenge to them to live better. And those 4 kids became my 4 senior leaders and still serving God to this day. Yeah. So I feel like I'm blessed because I'm one of those few youth pastors that actually get to see some results.
Yeah.
Now, there's been hundreds of kids, but some of those results I've been able to see, and it blesses me to see where they were and where they are now. You know, everybody thinks that God doesn't hear their prayers. If they can hear the kids' prayers from Selma, California, one unshakable faith in a town that I thought wasn't very valuable, which it is. God hears all prayers. And He's waiting for you to just ask Him. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So you married? So
Married, yeah.
How did
Got a
you-
wild child.
wild child. So how did God bring you a wife, or how did
Actually, that story kind of takes place across the street.
Okay.
I started going to Everyday Church,
Okay.
and I trained at the Pit Martial Arts for
Okay.
years and years and years. And
Okay.
we, you know, every time there was a UFC fight, you get invited to go hang out with them. But I was like the only Christian there. Like, nothing bad against them. Beautiful people. I love
Yeah,
them
yeah,
all.
yeah.
Love them all dearly. But I was just thinking, you know, man, I'd like to watch it with some church friends sometime. So Pastor Mark Perry, who also went to the Pit, invited me one day. He's like, "Yo, I'm gonna have it at my house. Would you like to come?" I was like, "Sure." So I went to his house, and watched the fights. Met some other people from Everyday Church, and then the next time went to a friend's house across the street, and my wife Michelle walked through the door, and the rest is history, man. It was like
You knew it. You like knew it at that moment.
At that moment, I was just like shocked. I was like, whoa! Like the next morning, because that was Saturday night. The next morning, I was in church with a friend. I was like, I just met this really awesome girl. She's like super hot, and she goes to church. She loves God. And I look up, and I didn't even know she went to Everyday Church. I'm like, and she's right there. Like I was like blown away. Yeah. And after that, yeah.
Man, yeah, and you have a beautiful son.
We got a wild son. Yeah.
Wild son. He's so adorable.
Spitting image of me. Crazy wild.
Yeah. Actually, his wife and a lot of us grew up in Pomo, so a lot of us know each other. So that's wild.
Yeah.
But man, that's a powerful story. Will you kind of just share like a message to people watching it? Like, what would you want to say to the people that are watching this right now?
No matter what you're going through, God is listening. He hears your cries, and He wants to answer them. All you have to do is reach out. Take one step, and He comes running to you. I mean, I was a guy who ignored Him my whole life, and took one little step, and He answered those prayers. I will say that God answers prayers.
Amen. Till next time, J-Love, Michael are out.